All right, so we got some pretty big news the last few days on the injury front, especially to a couple of playoff teams. I wanted to start with first the news this morning as I am waking up, drinking coffee, and trying to get adjusted to the morning. But Karl Anthony Towns appears to be out indefinitely. Well, according to Shams Charania, Karl Anthony Towns will be out indefinitely with a torn meniscus. Adrian Wojnarowski, on the other hand, is saying it's a meniscus injury and that doctors are evaluating the next steps. And in his initial tweet, Woj said that it remains unclear about how much, if any, time he'll be required to miss. So we will see which side, which insider prevails on that. Either way, the only thing that can happen to a meniscus is if it's torn, or at least that's 99% of the time the case. I don't know why meniscus injuries have been so weird to report on this year, especially going all the way back to Joel Embiid's injury. But obviously, this is a big deal for the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's not a hot take or anything. Karl Anthony Towns has been very good this year. Best defense of his career. Has fit in nicely, has sacrificed a bit to make the Gobert-Cat pairing a little more tenable this year. 22, 8, and 3 on 50-40, nearly 90 shooting splits. And this is obviously, a big blow for the Wolves. But I think the Wolves have the infrastructure at least to, hold the fort down until Cat returns. I actually think in some ways, not to say that the Wolves are better without Karl Anthony Towns, but if you plug in Naz Reid into the starting lineup, you will still get some offensive production and a lot of rugged, tough-nosed defense, or you could get a little more modern and move away with your identity or move away from your identity a little bit and start Jaden McDaniels at the power forward spot and maybe insert Nickeil Alexander-Walker as a small forward. I don't know how that works. Or maybe you put in Slow-Mo, even though I don't trust Slow-Mo as much offensively, at least spacing-wise. I do think that a silver lining with this Karl Anthony Towns injury is that this will give Chris Finch a chance to at least experiment a little bit, try out some different things. Now it's a tough balancing act because they are still fighting for the number one seed in the Western Conference, and you don't want to stray away too far from your identity. But I feel like this is a chance for Chris Finch to at least try to find some solutions before the playoffs, because I think the thing that's going to sink the Timberwolves in the playoffs is their offense, and more importantly, their crunch time offense. So maybe they figure some things out. Maybe they find a way to ungum the offense a little bit when it comes to close games, because in the playoffs, they're going to be in a lot of close games. And the Wolves just haven't been able to at least credibly answer those valid concerns all year. And I think that's going to rear its head in the playoffs. So maybe this will give Chris Finch a chance to figure some stuff out. Either way, this injury does blow, and it is obviously, I wouldn't say a setback, but, the Wolves are going to have to hold the fort down. They are currently tied with the Oklahoma City Thunder for first place in the Western Conference, and the Denver Nuggets are only a game back of those two. So it's going to be an interesting race, to say the least. And I mean, just on a fan perspective, big picture, I guess, outside view looking in, this just sucks for Timberwolves fans. Best record in over 20 years, probably. 20 years since the 2004 Western Conference Finals, obviously. But you find an identity, you dominate defensively, you have really good players up and down the roster, and you were able to craft a team that has the best record in the Western Conference, and then this happens. It's just, the sports suck, man.